What if one of history's most notorious killers never needed to hide because the city itself hid him? Picture a maze of fog-choked alleys where the lamplight dies before it touches the ground, and a stranger can pass inches from you and vanish. In that maze, a name was born that would eclipse the man. In 1888, London's newspapers roared to life, and fear sold out every edition. Each headline made the mystery bigger, the monster braver, and the city more afraid. The press would not only tell the story, it would help write the myth. Crowds gathered beneath gas lamps, whispering stories that changed with every retelling. Whistles cut the night, boots echoed on wet stone, and yet, at the edge of every circle of light, the darkness waited. No one saw his face clearly enough to name him, but they saw a presence, brushing past brick and fog, as if London itself swallowed his footprints, and somehow he always walked away. To the west, London glittered. To the east, Whitechapel. Life was survival. Overcrowded tenements, casual labor, and common lodging houses where a penny bought a rope to lean on through the night. The East End didn't just hide secrets, it manufactured them. Whitechapel, Spitalfields, Mitre Square, names that would become coordinates in a grim geometry. The neighborhoods crowded together like the pages of a ledger, and in those margins a pattern would form. For many women here, the line between shelter and the street was a coin. When the night's money ran out, the options narrowed. Vulnerability wasn't a choice, it was a condition. Gin palaces glowed like fires in the dark. A brief refuge, a bargain against the cold. In their mirrors, the city watched itself and looked away. Two police forces shared this map. The Metropolitan Police and inside the old Roman walls, the City of London Police. Boundaries that mattered on paper would soon matter in blood. At Scotland Yard, Commissioner Sir Charles Warren navigated politics and public fury. He had men, he had resolve, but the tools of modern investigation simply didn't exist. On the ground was Inspector Frederick Aberline, steady, experienced, methodical. He would chase a shadow through alleys that tangled like thoughts in a frightened mind. Above them, officials like Dr. Robert Anderson and Chief Inspector Donald Swanson sifted statements and theories. Their private notes would outlive their careers, fueling speculation for generations. Forensics in 1888, scalpels and sketches, not fingerprints or DNA. Scene preservation was inconsistent. Evidence could be handled, moved, or lost before anyone knew what it meant. And through it all, the presses thundered. Every extra edition fanned the panic. The louder the headlines, the harder the truth became to hear. We remember 5 names most often: Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, Mary Jane Kelly. 5 lives caught in a storm they did not create. Their murders clustered within a short glide of one another. Late at night, close enough to walk, always close enough to slip away before dawn. The rhythm was chilling, a quick, decisive assault, the throat cut, and then moments, only moments, before the killer was gone. Time was his greatest ally. Then came the letters, taunts that named the killer Jack the Ripper. Were they real? Some likely weren't, but authenticity matters less than impact. The letters created a character, and that character swallowed the case. In a doorway, a torn piece of an apron. Above it, chalked words, ambiguous, incendiary. At dawn, an order came. Erase the writing to prevent a riot. A possible clue vanished with a swipe. Before the first attack, the city had already set the stage. Anonymity in numbers, alleys that erased witnesses, and nights thick with shadows and need. Police relied on telegraphs, runners' feet, and ledgers, fast for their time, fragile by hours. Communication lagged where seconds mattered. Jurisdictions overlapped like fingerprints on fogged glass. Coordination happened, but seams remained. August 31st, 1888, Bucks Row, Mary Ann Nichols. A constable's lantern flickered over damp stones. The city exhaled, unsure of what it was seeing. That uncertainty would not last. September 8th, Annie Chapman. The brutality escalated in a cramped backyard. Questions multiplied. Was the killer skilled? Was he simply ruthless? The debate would never settle. September 30th, Elizabeth Stride Asame, in a dark yard off Burner Street. Signs of an interruption. A plan cut short. Less than an hour later, Mitre Square. Catherine Eddowes, the second murder of the night, deeper in the city's old heart. The killer lingered longer. The risk was greater. He left anyway. On the escape route, the apron piece and that chalked message. Police weighed order against evidence and chose order. It was a decision made in minutes that would echo for centuries. The letters multiplied, postcards, notes, boasts. Each one twisted the knife of public fear. Whether written by the killer or by hoaxers, the effect was the same, a chorus of panic. Bloodhounds were tested as a daring fix, romantic, headline-ready. But without strict scene control, the plan wilted in the fog. Citizens formed patrols. Rewards were offered. London had enlisted itself, eyes and ears everywhere, and somehow never where they needed to be. November 9th, Miller's Court. Mary Jane Kelly, indoors, behind a thin curtain and a locked door. The walls bought the killer time. The scene shocked even hardened investigators. After Kelly, the pattern changed, or ended. The day before Kelly's murder, Commissioner Warren resigned over broader disputes. The timing felt like a breach in the city's defenses. Whether connected or not, the public read it as a sign of unraveling. Patrols multiplied, boots marched through fog. But saturation is not the same as certainty. You can fill streets with uniforms and still miss the man in the next shadow. The press froze the story in inked woodcuts. Panic, pursuit, the silhouette under the lamp. The legend hardened. The facts became softer, easier to bend. Social investigators mapped the city's poverty, block by block. The murders didn't cause reform, but they focused minds. Where misery pooled, danger followed. Eventually, files were boxed. Cases were closed without conclusions. The official story ended in a room full of dust and doubt. The government refused to offer official rewards, wary of false testimony from past scandals. Private committees stepped in, but the public saw hesitation and called it indifference. Two forces met at one table, two sets of hands, one city. Cooperation existed, but pride and boundaries kept tugging at the threads. Magnifiers, rulers, notebooks. Good men with insufficient tools. Massive effort doesn't guarantee an answer when the method itself is limited. The Victorian newspaper was yesterday's social feed, fast, loud, and rewarding spectacle. Today, a rumor can circle the globe in minutes. The speed changed. The incentives didn't. Modern forensics cracked cases once frozen in time, like the Golden State Killer, by weaving genealogy into investigation. But the past only yields to science if the chain of custody holds. In Whitechapel, it often doesn't. Even now, researchers comb archives and build trees. Sometimes a century late is still on time. But with this case, gaps in the record may be too wide to bridge. We live surrounded by cameras and data. More eyes don't always mean more clarity, just more noise to sift and more false trails to follow. Today's task forces are built to cross boundaries that once crippled investigations. Human friction remains, but the seams are narrower when we choose to stitch them. As for suspects, many names circulate. Aaron Kosminski, Montague Druitt, George Chapman, Francis Tumblety. Some notes point one way, others another. None meet the standard of proof we demand in a courtroom today. The lesson is sobering. Even with modern tools, cases can resist closure, especially when the record was never built for the answers we're asking of it. We may never confirm a single name, but we can understand the system, the conditions that shielded a predator and then elevated him to a legend.